proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Welcome back, Mr. Witness.
Thank you, Council.
Before the break, we were talking about the 1994 coup d'etat. And you have explained how Jame and Edward and Jame and their crew came to have access to State House.
Ya sata jang ya Jame aning Edward na ni la donyol ini modu ya katanya di la fay dunta nang State House.
Now we have to move to an entirely different topic.
Silambida kaja fanna dolla.
It would have been interesting to hear your views as to how positions were given out at State House during that supposed chaotic moment.
But
in the interest of gaining time, we will just move on some other topics, and the Commission would rely on the evidence that it has already received on that. So I want to now move to the Ndur Cham coup d'etat. Don't take it from the angle of your arrest. I want you to tell us what happened that time in 2006. You being Deputy CDS. Tell us all those things that were happening leading up to the arrest of people implicated in that coup.
Fabe fonye me alonko wala sujita ni ko nyi me alonko kudeta nyi tamandir bulu aketa nyame ani men na sababu ina na mol me muta ko yetu mi ko be dawe kudeta nyi konole.
Okay, good afternoon, Chairman. Good afternoon to everyone. Council, audience.
Al-Nimbara Chairman, Al-Nimbara Council, Lamur la fanang Al-Nimbara, Al-Tinyang.
I am now coming to give my evidence, my testimony
Nkana na sediaro le di
on the 2006 attempted coup
2006 sangokono kudeta bayri ngo menketanu
which was led by Nur Cham.
Me yalon ko Ndur Cham le anyaton kayanu.
Who was at the time the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambian Armed Forces.
Me yalon ko tembo atelum sojarul be kunton ko Gambia la sojar bundala.
It happened in early 2006.
Utumo sojarul ila kullo police bunda nying
who happened to be Lieutenant Bo Baji at this time.
Me yalon ko tembo e ka fayne Lieutenant Bo Baji
who gave me an intelligence report
that
he has gathered information that Ndur Cham had planned a coup against President Yahya Jammeh. After when I got this information from him, I made my own assessment, and this kind of sensitive information cannot be handled or kept at my level. Simply because if I fail to notify the authorities, whenever it happens, I will be held responsible. Because the Constitution defines that once you get information about a planned coup, you must inform a police officer or a magistrate or even the president himself.
How about the gaffer?
Kafadu.
The same thing applies to GAFA.
Ateo kukilingole fana mu gafa la karola.
That when you know about an intended or planned coup,
O ni bota fero kama memu kudeta feroti.
you have to inform
Foye fere ke yin kibaro di.
your commanders,
Ila commander la ila nyato.
and of course that includes
Andu wo fana wulu kono nyindabi yele.
the commander-in-chief.
Wole mu commander kunton ko nyinti.
So when I picked this information,
O bitung biringa yin kibaro soto.
I made efforts
Nakata ko luke.
to meet the president
Runim president wa nyoje.
as the commander-in-chief
Waira tolo sojarul be kunton kote.
to give him this information.
Ruka yin kibaro diala.
But at the time,
Pero tembo.
I had a little issue with the president
Utumo kudo fana benim president utema.
that was following our return from the Under-17 World Cup in Peru.
Wole mo wayata ran tata kata dam fu be ngola Peru under 17 ila kata dam fu nyose amen kata Peru mbotana wole to.
When we did not reach the finals,
Wairi mamfuta final o dangoto.
the president was misinformed
Ye kibaro mendi president wala ya filindi.
that I had failed to apply
Oh, ntele manna kuluke anyama.
some of the things he gave me.
Ruka kulu tamandi
What
anyama ay kulu din.
Wala mundi amen.
What things?
How do they call it?
Just call it by what it is, even in the local language.
Okay, some of the jujus that I was given, I failed to apply.
Ko ay safewulu menu din na meta mandi anyama.
That was the interpretation he was given.
Yo kubole fa ate wonya.
By the way, did he personally prepare those judges?
Munta ata fang kunni wale o safol.
No, he didn't hand them over to me. It was through somebody else.
Afango me dinale ayedi
Mr.
mole
Tamba,
la membe dilantela.
The question was, did he personally prepare them?
In karo mente fata fang kunni wale.
That is what I mean. It was prepared by a brother of mine who was close to him.
Na badin sutung membe kataringatela wole fana yo safewulu deda.
By the name Assis Tamba.
Ka fo me Assis Tamba.
Assis prepared these jujus
Assis lenyi safewulu be deda.
and handed them over to me.
Na te chika ay dintela.
So eventually, when we are in Peru,
Bitumbirin nata hanfombe Peru tu momeng.
those jujus were handed over to the president of the federation at the time, or the vice president, Sidi Kinte.
Utumo lengo fenguluta ngedi katadam fu kafo la vice president la Sidi Kinte.
Because Sidi Kinte was with the football team.
Kato Sidi Kinte le nin katadam fu lalu fengulu be katarin
I
nyola.
was together with the supporters.
Ntele be mo le kono menu mu ifasa laluti.
And Sidi applied as instructed.
Adun Sidi fana ye tamandi le ko ya fa e nyamin.
But because he was misinformed,
Bari amonta yate fanam filindile.
this anger was demonstrated to me, was geared towards me.
Amonta brio kumo fa yate la kamfa aya tilintelela.
In fact, when the Under-17 paid him a courtesy call at the State House,
Ya sabu fang under 17 kafo nyimbri tatabunya futama State House.
all that time he could not hide his anger.
Obe ya tara mala kamfa mabono.
He said that it is not the players that failed to bring the cup.
Ay nyina fam foje ko amanke ko katadam fulal le fota pour ka kopo nyin natide.
But he said he blamed the officials.
Ko bari menu mo katadam fulalu la ke baluti officialolu wolle me ka maka nya.
For failing to apply what he gave.
Runyin kamala man ay mendi na maka nya.
Okay.
So when I could not see him,
Birim majeno
I called one of his trusted aides,
nga ala molu kilin me ya lon ko alata men na ala katala molu kono
by the name Matar Jajo.
ka fay Matar Jaju.
When I met Matar,
Rinni Matar ye nyoje
I briefed him about the intelligence that we gathered
nga kumo fay nyin kibaro men nga moyi
in respect of Ndur Cham's planned coup.
memundur cham la kudeta ferote.
I also advised Matar
Nga Matar fana ya mari nyin na ko
that before he goes to the president to inform him about this intelligence,
janna bita president kam pour ka nyin kibaro fay
let him meet the head of the Armed Forces Intelligence, Bo Baji,
asi fere ke ani sojarul fana la kullo do kula nyaton ko se nyoje
so that
ka fama e bobaji
he could get the same briefings from Bo Baji.
runyin kamala bo baji fanansi o kuma kan lu fae kai men fonte.
Mr. Tamba,
Yes,
General Tamba,
Council.
was this was this intelligence in the classic term of it, or was it just rumor?
Ko fo nyin kullo nyin fo kule me alon ko kulo kensan wala mbang fo abe ngunu kensan wala membe kiri.
Because I asked this question because the information we received in this commission is that, well, it was talked about by almost everybody and the top echelons of the army that Ndur Cham was going to stage a coup.
Dalilo me asabu nga nyini karo nyini kawala nyindo karo nga kibaro soto janyi commission nyati nonya ko nyin kudeta mu kulete me ya lon ko ngunu wala me alon ka janjanta dinkiral beta sojerol famo jamal bebe ya moyle.
Council, the 1994 was rumored, but the 2006 Ndur Cham school wasn't rumored.
1994 council wo kuma kan fotale, but 2006 ta o man fode.
The information was an information, it wasn't an intelligence.
Kibaro nyin akibar male nata dorombara manke ko kullo kisikisiro keta an fo nga kibaro soto.
It becomes an intelligence once it is processed and interpreted, then it becomes.
Kanake kullo kibaro te kafame intelligence.
That was why when the head of the intelligence got the information, he processed it and interpreted it to become intelligence.
Wala na bring wo kullo kibar bunda la nyaton ko ya moy ayabulata kulu noma aye kesemeti atata kafunyoma na atake kullo kibaro de.
So when they said Matar Jaju met Bobaji,
Birim Matar Baji ni Bobaji nata nyoje.
Bobaji also interpreted this intelligence to him.
Bobaji nata nyin kullo fanan Kenya be bay nyoto.
He went and met the president, Matar Jaju,
Matar Jaju tata anim president wa nyoje.
And he interpreted this intelligence to him.
Ay nyin kullo fanan kibaro be bay nyoto.
But later Matar called me and he came and met me. He said to me, the president said, this is not true. You are interested in Ndur Cham's position. So when he told me this, I said to him, go and approach Bobaji, the head of the intelligence, and give him the same response you got from the president. Eventually he did that. So as the date drew nearer, for the planned date for the coup,
have you had any discussions with anybody else about this planned coup?
I called back Bobaji and told him that this is the response that the president gave. And that if Matar met him and gave him the same briefings. And he confirmed that he met Matar and Matar gave him the same response he gave me.
Andung akotso nyala ni Matar futata male andung jabiro memfae okuma kan kilunga memfonte ayo Matar fana yole fae.
Then Bobaji said to me, sir,
Bobaji konte wotumole sa,
now that I have gathered all this intelligence,
and
the president did not have trust in us, for me, what I have in mind was that whenever the president travels out of the country, you as the deputy CDS, you should not also leave the country, you should not travel.
My question was, did you have any discussions about this matter, this planned coup, with anybody else apart from Jaju and Baji?
Kon kame nyininga wala mnyindiko nyinkude ta bayiringo fo ninga bota Jajula aning Baji fo mosoro ndala ba ningi me nyinku kachaba.
No, those were the only two people I discussed with because it was an intelligence and I cannot share it with everyone.
Hani womo fulo drong ni wole akacha wairi kullo kibaro lemu ni modo ntafono la modo e.
Up until that day when the coup was being foiled, have you discussed with anybody
okata kabula olungola lungo menda nyinkude ta nyinga baita fo ina ni moka kachale ba
that a coup was planned?
Ko kudeta e bole betabikang.
Council, I didn't discuss with anybody because it was very sensitive information and you don't know whom you are talking to, whether the person is part of it. So I did not discuss with anybody.
Kansul nyimu kulolti me yalon ko nimmo mafu katu ni nyon kuma façon lo ini membe diamula imalon fango fo mari fango dabi jele o dalilo le ya sabu nimmo mo ndim mafo.
Has anybody, any soldier or civilian, come to your office to inform you or to tell you that there was this planned coup d'etat?
Fabe kala soldier rol tiban fabe kala civilian rol tiban fo mo nana soton dala ba men kan e fangol office o kono ka fo e ko nyinen feroti ka coup d'etat ke.
Until somebody told me, but before that,
Kansul mo ya fo nyene de bari janni wo.
I was trying to explain, Bo advised that whenever the president leaves the country, I should also not travel out of the country. Because he said to me, if the president travel and you travel, he did not see anybody who can lead the troops to foil the coup. As the head of intelligence, that was the advice he gave me. So I also heeded to that advice. So it happened that the CDS at the time, Colonel Dut, within that time, Bobaji came back to me and said to me, sir, I heard that the president will be traveling to Mauritania. Are you aware? I said to him, no, but he said to me, I should confirm. Then I confirmed it, and it was true that the president will be traveling to Mauritania on a Thursday or a Friday. When I confirmed the president's travel, I relayed that same information to Bobaji. Bobaji came and said, sir, I advise that you should cancel your trip to Darfur. My planned trip to Darfur, I cannot make it because I'm not feeling well. Because already I knew that the president was to travel to Mauritania. And wanting to heed to the advice of the head of the intelligence, so I said to the CDS, we can postpone this till another time. So the president traveled to Mauritania.
Still back to my question. Did you discuss with any person, civilian or military, that Durcham was planning to carry out a coup d'etat?
Council, yes, I did that. But I am coming to that. Yes, I'll give an explanation of the sequence of events. Then you will see, at what level I told the person.
Could you answer my question and then we move on?
Yes, Council.
Who was that person?
When the information was confirmed, I called the Inspector General of Police at the time, Usman Sonko. I called Bobaji himself. I called the commandant at the Armed Forces Training School. At the time, it was the former CDS Usman Baji. I called the commander of Sering Modu Njaiti. I called them to my house. And by the time I called them, I had a recorded tape. This tape was recorded by a soldier called Mbaigei. Mbaige was called to the defense headquarters
Mbaige kumandi praye na korda bato defense headquarters
by Bunja Dabo.
Bunja Dabo le ya kumandi.
Bunja was the military assistant, we call him MA, military assistant to Ndur Cham.
Bunjale mu sojaro la karoti nolan koti membe Ndur Cham bala ikafa military assistant.
And on that Tuesday that he called Mbaige to his office at the defense headquarters.
Andun talata lungo meng ay Mbaige kili ala office to defense headquarters.
That Tuesday we had National Security Council at the office of the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Njie Sedi.
Ulunne fana mu banko la kanton in tanka council ba e benke Aissatou Njie Sedi la office to utumo wala Vice President.
After we closed from the meeting,
Birinja njanta obendulato.
at the time, I was the first vice president of the Gambia Football Association at the time.
Vice President Gambia la
I took permission from my boss, Colonel Durcham, to go to Ministry of Works where I had a meeting to award contract for the construction of the present Gambia Football Federation office.
Ntata na boss ya Durcham nga dani pura silo dinna purun sita nga fero tamandi me yalonko. Wolem Gambia Football Federation la nyin korda bungu nyim membije abungo kontrako purun sita o kontrako di doku la nyina.
So from the meeting I went straight to Ministry of Works to attend a meeting to one Mr. Jaite, who was the Director of Technical Services.
Utumo lembirimbota nyimbendo to ntata Ministry of Works Mr. Jaite la office me yalonko utumo atelebe Mario wokola ntata wala office purunga nyoje.
Thereafter I drove home to my house in Kololi.
But apart from these people you have mentioned, did you discuss this matter with any other person, soldiers or any other civilian?
Council, I am coming to that. So whilst at home, about to have my lunch, I got a phone call from the head of our transport unit in Yundum, Jangasane. And what he said to me was this. So I heard that you are supposed to travel to Darfur, but I advised that you should cancel your trip. I told him that, look, I have already canceled my trip knowing that the president was going to travel out of the country. That's how he started to narrate to me that Mbaige was called to the defense headquarters by Bunja Dabo and trying to brief him about a coup that was planned for that day. And they wanted that Lance Corporal at the time by Gay to facilitate the transportation because he was at the transport unit in Yundum, for him to facilitate the transportation for the movement of troops.
And womoto la bunda la Yundum fasi motokuo sono yandi itolie ibe tamala moto mena memfanambe sojarolu sambala.
So I instructed that he must give Maige a vehicle to bring him to my house at mile 7.
Utumo lem nganyeng kangofa koye moto dimba igela aene danku na korna bungoto mile 7.
I left my Kololi residence.
Mbota Kololi na suoto.
Went to Westfield.
Natani Westfield ma famala.
Bought a small recorder.
Na recorder ndingo sang.
And that time I called Bobaji and requested that he joins me in my house in mile 7. On my arrival, then Baige also arrived. I ushered him to my bedroom in the presence of Bobaji and asked him to explain what he was telling me about on the phone. With regards the planned coup by Ndurcham. He gave me the discussions he had with Bunja Dabo at the defense headquarters earlier on. But according to him, he declined to be part of the coup. Bunja then requested him to meet Ndurcham at 5 p.m. in his residence in Bakau. So Maige told me that he was heading to Ndurcham's house in Bakau by the Daily Observer.
mbayge yenyum fonje njele ko woto nate botaje miya be tilina bitan dur chamya me ya lo wotumo abe daily observer la ma fangol la wotumo baka
Thereafter, I handed over to Mbaige the small tape recorder I bought.
wotumo lem ngagnin tape recorder ndingo men sanga di mbayge la
I gave it to him so that he can record all his conversation with Nur Cham.
ngaya di ala nyina kanko anin dur chambe femfem fola aya be record.
I did that so that I can have evidence to believe that yes, Nur Cham was planning a coup.
ngake nyina kamma purunsi sede ko yosoto ko tonyala ndur chambe kudeta fero le tamandika.
When I returned back,
rimurutana
he arrived
futata
with the tape recorder.
anin tape recorder
But
nyina
already,
bari oyatara
I had called the Inspector General of Police, Usman Sonko.
nga Usman Sonko commandile Inspector General of Police.
I called the Commandant Armed Forces Training School, former CDS Captain General Usman Baji.
General Usman Baji o tembo atelom commandanti campo to nga fanan commandi
I
odumo.
called the State Guards Commander, Colonel Serigne Modou Ndiaye,
Colonel Serigne Modou Ndiaye state guards la commanda otumo ngo fanan kili.
and requested that they join me in my house in mile 7.
Nga foye otumo ko sina ni ben nabungoto mile 7.
When they all converged at my house,
Bri be bentan nabungoto.
I led them into my bedroom.
Ni tatanna labungo fangole konode.
Even my wife, my family, they didn't know why I called those people.
Namuso na dimbayalu imalo muna nanganyi molu kili.
There I played the tape recorder that was brought by Mbaige following his meeting with Nur Cham.
Otumo le nga tape recorder nyimbonde nga kumandi kuma kango membe bije mbayge ni ndur cham ye membe kacha abebe o tepo men kono nga play.
And when we all listened to the tape,
Rimbe ya la moy foka pare.
that was how we came to know of the planned coup for that day.
Ulunne mu abe ko itam manga lon ko to nya kudeta le fereta ulum fang.
Have you spoken to Ndur Cham about this planned coup?
o idiam dan duru cha mo nyen bang kasuji ni nyin kudeta bayel wala ba
I have never spoken to Nur Cham about any planned coup.
Ntene nani ndur cham mandia mu kudeta bayrin wo kudeta la kola.
Otherwise, I would not have bought a tape and give it to Mbaige to go and record his conversation with Nur Cham.
Non tente tepo sanna pro ayata anin ndur cham la dia mo ayati.
Because I would have been in the picture already.
Ato batara le ngalo membe kerim foka pare.
But you are already in the picture because you have received intelligence that the coup was going to go on.
mosa fono ebe ko nyin tema le katu mo ye kibaru kullo kibaro soto no komantonu.
You ask that the conversation be recorded clandestinely because you wanted to keep evidence.
e lefta dalilo me ya sabo ko kuma ka woni pour ya recordie wala nyindi ko pour ya kibaro ni sa mabo pour ay ke sede ya rangote.
Counsel, you are right, because I did that simply because I mentioned in the initial stage that the president didn't trust me, thinking that I wanted Nur Cham's position.
To nyala ngau kenyina kama wairi president wanyina fonun ko ndele fitan Ndur Cham la pala solela.
But I wanted
ya sabu lafta nyinkela puru ka sede koyo soto mbulo kono.
Let's just get it straight.
Ko nyin tirindi do.
You may have recorded the evidence for more than one objective.
Sikeno kumonyi ya tala ya record nyin kamalo ko katambi hamen kilinda.
Of course, one objective in that he would be removed from that position, and the likelihood is that you would take that position. I'm not saying that that is what you wanted. I'm just saying that it is capable of being interpreted also in that way. Would you agree?
Mmen fo kan wala nyintiko. Amanke ko ku dalila kilinda mamu prumo safono wala ya kende yala kuma kan tape. Bari do fanansi nyi mutano ko. Ni aje yala kuma kan tape ko president o memfo ko etebe lafirin Ndur Cham la palasol la. Kadu o tembo wairi itese simbe Ndur Cham noma. Misali kama ning ayatara tatake kuti hanu foi na tan Ndur Cham bondi o palasoto. Bitum wala bunyinti ko asekeno yete tentendi yeke o palasoto. Mosa fono wo fanam mudalila doleti me yalon ko mosi kuma kan yinte no dol ba jala wala nyama.
Would you agree that it is also capable of being interpreted in that way?
So if we be son na nyina ko mosi akonyim fanan satano le ko wo aketa wala nyama.
Counsel, fine, others can interpret it that way.
Okay, let me just ask my next question. I understand what you said. It is capable of being interpreted in that way. But your objective, according to you, was what?
My objective was purely
ndela hammo dalila koyo mumenti je
to have evidence
wolem ka seedo soto mbulu
to prove that
membe a seede ala koyke ko
a coup was in the making.
coup d'état le be fewja kan
I did mention to you that the initial stage, I sent the information to the president. His response was, I was interested in Durcham's position. But the law is not dormant in that. I knew fully that if the coup was executed, and me knowing about it, then if it fails, I may be accused of being part of it. Because they will say that I have not informed the authorities. Hence, that was what the law requires. So that was why I made a recording, so that it will be served as an evidence. In fact, that recording helped in the court martial. It helps the prosecution team.
In fact, in spite of that effort, the suggestion was there that you are in fact part of the coup, correct?
Counsel, I say no to that. Simply because.
Listen to my question before you answer.
Okay.
My question is, the suggestion was there that you were part of the coup, in spite of all this effort you have made to get a recording, and in spite of the effort you have made to gather the relevant officials to discuss the matter. What do you say to that?
Counsel, I say no to that. Simply because logically, if I were part, all those who were part of the coup were arrested, and Durcham fled the country. And all that time, the president was not in the country, he was in Mauritania. So if I had a difference with Durcham about the leaders or whatsoever, then it was on a silver platter cake. The president was not in the country. Durcham has fled the country. The other members of the coup were arrested by my team. It would have been as simple as I sit on the chair and declare myself president. But because I did not do that, that shows that I did not have any conflict with Durcham as to who was to be the head.
Mr. Witness, you are answering a question I did not ask. Perhaps you have listened to the TRRC hearings and you have heard some of the allegations that were made. And in your head, you have that allegation and you are responding to it. But I haven't quite asked that question. I haven't even gotten there. I will get there at some stage, but we are not yet there. Okay. It would have been helpful if you just answered my question. My question is that the suggestion was there. People said you were part of it. Is that true? Did they actually say? Were there any people who said that you were part of it?
Thank you.
Modul ba fo kan fo idabe coup d'état nyin kono le silanke nyin ga mem fo fon fon ngoli mem fo e benu njela ba idabe coup d'état nyin kono le ba
no that's not what I said.
Kansule mem fo lam nyinti ko nyim mukumaleti men ngulunuta ka fo ko nungutu mo etedabe coup d'état nyin kono le yo woto silang nyin ko mbe men nyin ka kan wolam nyinti ko tonya ite hani ile ite ko senande ko idati je nyawnyande mbari asa keno kumatile molu semmen fo molu sinyim fono le ko tonya fo ndur tam dabi jele fo te fono la o mansoto nun fo molu mansoto men yew fo nun ko ite dabi jele.
Okay, let me do it again. The question I asked, okay, people have come here and suggested that you are part of the coup d'etat. Are you aware of that? Are you aware of the suggestion by some people that you are part of the coup d'etat?
Council, I was not aware of that. What I was aware of was one of the witnesses said that Nurcham told him that myself and Peter Singate, we were part of the coup.
This is precisely what I am referring to.
Yes. I want to tell this commission that that is not true. Because logically, how could Peter be part of a coup that will be against his own brother who was in the government? Secondly, if I were part of the coup, after having arrested them and Nurcham fled the country, it was going to be like on a silver platter for me. Who would have stopped me from being the president that day if that was my intention?
But Mr. Tamba, we should all also look at things dispassionately and honestly.
Okay.
Neither of these 2 points you raised could conclusively suggest that you are not part of it. No, cannot conclusively say that you are not part of it. They are not dispositive of the issue. Completely. Because Peter Singate can participate in a coup against a government in which his brother is a part of, and as part of his agreement, ensure that his brother still remains in that government. Is that not possible?
Yes, that is possible.
Exactly.
But counsel, on my own case.
But let me continue.
Okay.
Yes. The second one is, while you have done everything possible to prevent this coup from taking place, that does not mean that you had the power to take over the government at that time, because other defenses could have been made to ensure that there is nobody who would be able to take over. That is also possible, isn't it?
Woto itesi mansakunda tanole nungu wotumo katu asekeno fere dolu fanalu sotontale menu be kering menu sike tanka daluti puru ku façon kana ke kafo itesi sino ye mansakunda ta wokulu bayringo wonya fo wotekeno la wotumo.
And so here let us not talk about the possibilities.
Let
us talk about the realities.
I raise this, Mr. Tamba, because what you have just said, you have just taken a reality, all right, but you used it only to show a possibility. And that is exactly what I have done. It is speculative to suggest that because you have gathered these people and told them what was going to happen, does not by itself suggest that you could have taken over the government and remain in power if you had wanted to. I just want to show that whereas your objective was demonstrated in the actions that you have taken, that action does not necessarily negate the other. It is still possible that there may have been other reasons that could have prevented you or anybody else from taking over the government. Once we agree on that fact, we can move on and talk about the actual things you have done.
Amonta kansule memfoten wolem ka foko ite nyin katakolu menu be keteng puruka kudeta nyin ka ko bay ani yenyil menu be bendi ni diamuta tonya bari hanim bi kudo fanan sitara kerin ne me yalon ko wosi nyim bayno le puruka foko ite si banko tano le yetuje satara kuta kala yesi sila je bari o satara le kudo lo fanan be kerin menu be lari men site bali no wala
And so possibilities, realities supersede possibilities.
Ako kolu menu si keno wolle lata kolu kan men yalon ko mu fula kol
And the realities are this.
andun woku menu se keno wolle mnyiliti
If I have a problem with my boss,
nin tenin na boss ya ku kole ngo soto na
and the
nyato
issue of leadership, who was to take the leadership position,
wolle nyato kaya koti jumale nyanta nyato kaya palaso tala
and now that the leadership position is available for me, I will not argue or push and pull with anybody.
andun sai o nyato kaya palaso natala nyato nimmote nyo sabalala nimmote kawali la akoto
In as simple as me sitting on the chair,
andun asono yata pour jo ka sira ngo kan ronga asono yata mfe wonya
then what could have stopped me from doing that?
woto muna be mballa o kela
Mr. Tamba, before Yaya Jammeh left, he knew that a coup was planned against him, didn't he?
He didn't. Because he denied that there was a coup being planned. So he did not know until when the realities came to show.
The theory is out there that Yaya Jammeh left having put in place sufficient defenses to make sure that this coup was going to fail and those who were in it apprehended. And that is why he left. What do you say to that?
I disagree. Those were not the realities, because the person who could have implemented those realities could have been me or his own state guards commander. But like I said, his own state guard commander, I called him to give him about the information. So those are not the realities that were on the ground.
So in effect, you denying that you did not have a falling out with Nur Cham, correct?
I did not have a falling out with Nur Cham because me and Nur Cham were not engaged in anything.
Okay. You are saying that apart from the people you have mentioned, you have never discussed the coup with anybody?
Correct.
You are saying that, okay, let me rephrase. Do you know a person called Emeba?
Foi molo ne ka fome Emeba.
Yes, Council, I know Emeba.
Sa ha to nyala nga Emeba lon.
He also became a general subsequently.
Fanana ta ke general otile.
Yes, I know that he later became a general and he testified before this commission.
Nga lon na keta general otile
No,
ana ta
Secrecy, I did not testify before this commission, but he testified in a court proceedings.
That's right.
Amanna jande bara sede yaro ke kiti bundala.
He has alleged that he informed you about the coup. You guys talked about it.
Ay nyem foko atele kudeta kibaro nyim foye ina ya kachale.
Council, if Emeba is a trusted witness, then there is not much I can say. But all I can tell you, Emeba wasn't a trusted witness, simply because Emeba decided to lie and implicate me because he wanted a pardon, and which was eventually done. He succeeded after he implicated that I was part of it. But how could it happen that it was Emeba alone that would say I knew about the coup? But I can still refer you to my former orderly. I will refer you to my former orderly, who later confirmed that Emeba said he told me about the coup through him giving him appointment to come and see me to tell me about the coup. My former orderly could testify whether that was true. Emeba had an appointment to come and brief me about the alleged coup.
So you're therefore suggesting that Emeba lied because he wanted a pardon?
Council, that is correct. Emeba wanted a pardon. That was why he fabricated lies against me, and eventually he succeeded in getting the pardon. And eventually he was reinstated back into the army, and also he was paid salaries, the number of years he spent in jail. That is a story I can explain. In fact, out of that, it was a set-up plan in the prison, Emeba and all his team. That was what landed the president of the court martial, Sergio Fofana, in court, in detention. all those that participated in the court martial of Emeba and his group were all implicated, dismissed, or even arrested and detained in Mile 2. The likes of Wali Nyang. He was detained there because he was part of the court martial, and they allege all the court martial team. One of the witnesses here, Yaya Dabo, have said it all here before this commission.
What did he say?
Yaya Dabo said that they made that plan because they were induced by Numo Kujabi, the justice minister at the time, and the head of the NIA, that was Numo Kujabi, to say that we were part of the coup, myself and the panel. Once they do that, they will all be pardoned and they will go home. That was said before this panel here by Yaya Dabo.
The commission would have the opportunity to examine all these things and determine what is the truth.
Yes.
But what emerges out of this is in the military, the soldiers were busy implicating one another and terminating each other's careers and sending each other to life imprisonment pretty much.
Counsel, can you give me examples of those who are implicated without being part of the coup?
Your case?
My case was not the soldiers. Those who were convicted of coup plotting.
Yes, but
those were the ones.
What I mean by the soldiers is it's all people who had served in the army.
Yeah,
it does not matter whether they were serving at the time or
those people wanted a revenge. They were not happy because I led the team that foiled the coup and eventually led to their arrest. So certainly, they were not happy with me.
But this is the point that I'm making. I am suggesting that in the army, or those who served, present or former, many of them participated in schemes aimed at putting one another in trouble.
Such as these particular people of 2006.
So you are agreeing with me?
Yeah, the 2006, they lied. They lied against me. Because they have grievances, so they decide to implicate me.
And fabrication of evidence against one another also took place.
Such as?
The decision to collude and implicate you.
By the same team. This is what I'm telling you. I agree. By the same 2006 coup. Because they were aggrieved already. So for them, I was the one who foiled the coup. For them, I was the one who sent them to prison. So they have to collude to fabricate lies that I was part of it. Like I gave you an example, if I were a part of it, I would have been president that day. I would have been president.
Perhaps not so easily, but,
of course.
But if you say
Who was going to stop me?
If you say so. I wouldn't know. I'm not in the security.
That is it. There was nobody. I was the one who spoke to the president and gave him assurance that he could return that night back to Banjul.
So you foiled the coup essentially?
Yes, I led the coup. I led the team that foiled the coup.
Okay, fine, good.
Yes.
So, Daba Marena, was he part of the coup or was he not part of the coup?
Daba Marena, to my knowledge, Daba Marena was not in the country.
We all know that. The question is, was he part of the coup or was he not?
I am coming. Daba Marena traveled along with the president. From the evidence that was put before us, there was no implication made of Daba Marena's involvement. In our panel, nobody mentioned about Daba Marena's involvement. Malafikor was mentioned by one of the witnesses.
Would you recall who?
I cannot recall.
In what context can you recall?
Being aware that he was informed. One of the witnesses certified that he was informed.
Aliulo?
Aliulo.
Which Aliulo?
Aliulo Juma.
Was it not Aliulo? I think it was Aliulo. What is? Did I get it wrong? He was one of those who was executed with Mandafikor.
Okay, Ibulo.
Ibulo, I meant to say. Sorry, excuse me. That's a slip. Ibulo.
Counsel Ibulo, at the time of the coup, was posted in Kanilai. Like I said, it was the same team that started mentioning one another.
wolle nyoto fo damuta
I've said it here that initially
afajan ko follow
it was Ndur Cham and Bunja Dabo, who was his military assistant.
Ndur Cham ni Bunja Dabo même wala no lankoti sojar ko la karola.
That was the first-hand information we got.
Wolem kibar floating amen soton.
But when they all appeared,
findita
it was Bunja Dabo
akotumu aketa Bunja Dabo
started mentioning the other members. And then when they also came, Wasa and the others, they started mentioning one another. So this was what happened. They started mentioning one another. Ibulo was in Kanila. I was not aware of his involvement, but he was mentioned by the other members. Ibulo was one of the closest lieutenants to me. From the time we were in Liberia, Sierra Leone, in the UN, he was like a younger brother or a son to me. Everybody knows that in the mission area. So if I had got the opportunity to know of his involvement, I would have been the first person to advise him. But this same team that I talked about, they were the ones who started mentioning, each of them.
Since you have accepted that there was no evidence implicating Daba Marena,
correct.
Why was Daba arrested?
Counsel, probably the person who arrested Daba could have answered that, not me. I'm not aware of his arrest, and I was not part of those that arrested him. He was not in the country.
Yes, but you participated in the investigation.
Yes, I did.
He was arrested in the context of the 2006 coup d'etat, Ndur Cham coup d'etat.
But in what context? Who arrested him? It was not the panel.
I'm just asking questions.
Yes.
As to why was he arrested? Does the panel know why he was arrested? We are investigating human rights
There
violations.
was no member of the panel who will tell you that he knows about the involvement of Daba Marena. But what we
would
got,
you therefore say that if Daba was arrested in the context of the 2006 alleged Ndur Cham coup d'etat, that arrest would have been unlawful?
Counsel, I wouldn't say that was unlawful. Simply because Daba was not in the country. At the time of this foil coup, he was in Mauritania with the president. And what transpired between them, I was not there. All what I heard was the NIA, they were informed, they knew about the coup. And they were working on arresting those responsible. That was what I got here.
We received information that he was actually fingered by the NIA because of the infighting at the top level of the NIA. They implicated Daba.
Well, I was not aware of that infighting, Counsel. Because I was not a staff of the NIA.
So you don't know how Daba Marena came to be arrested in 2006 in connection with this Ndur Cham case, or in connection with any other case for that matter?
Me and Daba, we never saw. From the time he returned from the trip, we never saw. And we never spoke, so I wouldn't know what led to his arrest.
mandiamu manyoje kabowato me abotanan tamadula.
The panel in which you worked never recommended Dabamarena's arrest.
Not at all, not at all. And none of the members will even say that.
Let us proceed. Can you tell us how this panel worked?
When this intelligence was brokered to us, like I said, the first person we knew about the involvement was Nurcham and Bunjadabo. Following my meeting with those people I mentioned, and at the time I didn't know the involvement of 1 infantry battalion in Yundum.
And one infantry battalion la tarao kono kulu kono membe Yundum.
Equally, I didn't know the involvement of Guards battalion in Bakau.
Guards battalion fanana ko kalama utumo menu be Bakau.
When I had the briefing with the State Guards commander,
State Guards commander la kachake tafukapare.
With former CDS, then he was the commandant of the trading school, Usman Baji.
And ning Usman Baji sita watu matelo kunyato koti police la soldier la karambumba nyindo.
Bo Baji.
Bo Baji.
And the IG at the time, Usman Sonko.
And ning Usman Sonko memu IG tunumo.
As the most senior,
memu kebatin kono.
And the person handling operations,
and memmarata dokolu tamandola.
I assigned roles to each of them.
Mo monding nga dokole diamarila.
For Bobaji, I assigned him to pick Babukar Sajang, who was at one battalion in Yundum, living in Lamen.
Then
they will move close to Yundum Barracks.
Mr. Tamba, perhaps we can avoid the the operational details of what you did to arrest everybody else. We can just be content with the fact that X, Y, Z were arrested. Give us the names and then we move on.
So, Council, you are not interested in the way the operation was carried out?
No, we would not be interested. I mean, some of these things are also confidential operational matters. We should not be interested. It would be sufficient for us to know that you made arrangements and A, B, C, D were arrested, and then we move on.
I don't think that will suffice it.
Well,
if I have to explain, I have to give a detailed explanation to this commission so that they will know the facts and the probabilities. But if you don't want me to mention the operational aspect of it, then something is lacking.
Mr. Tamba, we are not questioning how the military operates. We are investigating human rights violations. You understand? All these things you are talking about is just context. The important thing is what happened at the NIA and how these confessions were obtained. So I'm allowing you to discuss all this because we just want to set context. But it's absolutely not significant in our inquiry. And please do understand that and answer my questions, and then we move on. You made arrangements, you gave people roles, and tell us who were arrested pursuant to that.
Council, hence you don't want me to talk about that. I will heed to your advice.
Thank you very much.
But it is against my own will. Because if it is a commission of inquiry wanting to know what happened from the beginning to the end, I think it is fair enough that I am given the opportunity to explain how the mission, how the foiling of the coup was executed, who was assigned what. But if that is not what you want, fine.
I don't want the operational details because our mandate is not to investigate what happened in the army. Our mandate is to investigate human rights violations. That's what we are tasked to do. This we are discussing now just gives us context to show who was arrested, when, by who, and what happened afterwards. What operational details you people had in place do not concern us. It's not important. And I would advise that you heed to my guidance, answer the questions, we know what we are looking for, and we head straight to those things.
I will heed to your guidance.
Thank you very
But it's
much.
important that the operational details, they determine who did what happened, the details. But if you are not interested in that part of it, fine. I will know that it's something that the commission don't want to know. I can put that aside. Operational details, that's fine.
If the commissioners are
We can move on.
interested, they
Now we
would
can
ask
move on.
those questions. And please...
I've noticed that the commissioners, they don't ask questions, they take notes. They listen to me and you.
But that is
hence, that is your direction. I agree with you, that's fine. I'll be on record then.
That is not the case. The commissioners ask questions. And if they think that something is important that they wish to know, they would ask it. Proceed and tell us what happened after you assigned roles. Who was arrested?
Council, just a minute. General, let me just clarify one point out here. When you say the commissioners are not asking questions, we are not sitting here doing that. If you have all 11 asking you question after question after question, we won't finish. That's why this kind of a commission gets a legal team. They prepare, and we give them the legal team the authority to ask questions on our behalf. And later on, when we finish that phase, we would then ask them some additional questions. So it's not that we are just sitting here taking notes and not going to ask any questions. That would come a bit later. Thank you. Council, continue.
Chairman, I'm not saying that you people are not asking questions. I never said that. I said that you people are taking notes. I know that you will ask questions later. I've been following the proceedings of the TRRC. Normally, you ask questions at the end of the intervention by the lead counsel. I've been following. I never said that you people are not asking questions.
Thank you very
never said
much.
that.
Council, please continue.
Okay, let me proceed. Thank you very much. So tell us what happened. Afterwards, you assigned responsibilities, and then who was arrested. Honestly, we don't want the details of how your plan was executed. That would be outside what we're interested in. So tell us who was arrested and then what happened as a result of that.
Silang afanyi ye jumane jumale muda andombiri ye muda muna gnara nake.
Like I said earlier on, Bunya was the first to be arrested. That night he appeared before the panel that was set up.
What time of the night was that?
Bunya was arrested earlier. Then the president landed. And already we set up the panel.
Under whose instructions?
On what?
To set up the panel.
Of course, under the commander-in-chief, the president.
Commander-in-chief, president,
who determined the members of the panel?
Like I said, the president set up the panel, so eventually he determines who sits in the panel.
The questions have to be asked, even whereas the answer may appear to be very obvious to you. We have to ask the question.
That's the answer I've given you now.
Yes.
That the president, obvious, is the president.
And thank you very much. And then what happened? You had an appearance by Bunja before the panel on that day. Tell us what happened.
Bunja was the one who mentioned the involvement of other members in the coup. In the likes of Wasa Kamara, he was, even in the barracks, busy, making certain arrangements. Because already he heard about the coup, that it has been foiled. But he pretended not knowing or being part of it until when Bunja appeared before the panel. It was Bunja who mentioned them.
Bunjale etel tofo.
So, what were the working methods of the panel?
Impa alfa kafo nyingi la tamandiri bulo mu nyimu sifa nyadi le.
In terms of what?
Mung nakarola.
How was the panel doing its work?
Ka ni kafo nyi bela do ko nyi ke kan nyadi le.
It was a simple job for the panel. I just said here Bunja was the first person to be arrested.
Yes, but
and it was Bunja who started mentioning names.
Could you kindly go back to the question? How was the panel doing its work? What was the setup? Who were the members? What were the respective roles assigned to the members? Who was present?
Panelo nyi bela do ko ke kan nyadi le jumo mo moronde muna muila do ko di men detail be men ke kan o kafo nyi kono je.
How was it organized?
Ya londi nyadi le.
The panel was set up under the leadership of the NIA. And Haidara was assigned as the lead investigator.
Haidara, what's his first name?
Haidara atodum.
I just called him Haidara. I wouldn't remember his first name.
Proceed.
I was there. Usman Sonko was there. These are some of the people I can remember that first day. I could not remember the names of others.
How many people were there?
I wouldn't be able to remember how many, but it was a reasonable number.
And what is a reasonable number?
A reasonable number is a figure that I cannot give. So for me, that's a reasonable number in a panel. It could be up to 10 or even more.
Kafoko ibuita domandi nta nomba nta yiriko fono la kafo nyin nangam lem bari wala nanko ibuita le domandi bari mo sa yirika kafoko ni wala mo tang wala mensi sia mo tanti.
Could it be up to 20?
And so it could be up to 10. So the exact number I cannot tell. I don't want to exaggerate.
Sitano le fo mo tang bari bitung malafika kibirinde wala ka kono fanundi.
And who else? You mentioned three people.
These are the ones I can remember because these are senior personnel of their various security setups. So the others I cannot remember.
Nyillo molting hakilo emenumuta. Wodolu den hakilo memuta no barbitun kanta bunda kotengolula molu menga menu tolu fon hakilo yolle muta wollem nyiliti.
We received information that Fodebari was part of it.
Kibaro soto janko Fodebari afananda be jele.
And so in the first day or second day, Fodebari was not there.
Council lumfolo ni mfulanjango nsinyim foko Fodebari tijenu.
How about subsequently?
I fully remember one day the president probably he was not happy the way the panel was going on. So he instructed that we get Fodebari and Baba Saho because already they were not working for the NIA. I think they were sacked from the NIA.
Nga Fodebari ni Baba Saho ta sekeno ko tembo imantara do kwala panelo nyinkono barbitung NIA barbitung anatanyim foko ngawulu sabana ngedundi.
So they were brought into the panel through the instructions of the president.
Bitung president la kango kanno ngawulu nati ngedundi panelo kono.
That was how we got them in.
Ngawulu soto tenne.
Okay, how about Alaji Martin?
Alaji Martin do.
Alaji Martin, I cannot remember sharing the panel with him.
Alaji Martin hakilo mamuta ka fonna denta panelo nyinna.
Where I can fully remember
hakilo simemuta no
was when I sent for him to come and escort Faring Sajang back to Mile 2.
Wala mbringa kila kia ko aena ay Faring Sajang dandang ka samba Mile 2.
That was when I came to the panel that day.
And
so the condition in which Faring Sajang was, and I wasn't happy at all. That was when I sent for Martin. Some personnel, new personnel, so that they can escort Paring back to mile 2.
So be purning kamala si paring samba ka samba mile 2.
I think that statement was put before this this commission.
Amira kumakango ya funyin commission to jan.
Paring Sanyang statement,
Paring sanya na kumakango.
where he mentioned the actions I took when I saw him in that condition.
I mem for nketa nyame ngakolu melu ke bringaje abe alhalo meldo.
Which condition did you see him in?
Ti aje ing alhala nyaadi le to.
I saw him with some wounds,
Ngaje le baramulu babala.
and I confronted him what caused that in the presence of the panel when I stepped in.
Nga nyinin ka mune yolu sabu abala ka panelo nyimfango nyati lingulaje.
And he said he was beaten by the junglers.
Anyina foko jongla solle abute.
So because I was dismayed with that,
Waketante jikilate bati.
so that was how I called Martin with some fresh personnel from the state guards to escort Paring back to mile 2.
Wala nanga Martin Kumandi pra atene modulu menu be wala nam presidential guards pour itelisike moluti menu be faring dandan na kasamba mile 2.
Were the junglers present there?
Jongulal be mabere nu jela ba.
The junglers, yes, they were present.
Bijele de jongla solu bijele.
Did you mount an investigation as to who in the junglers did that to him and why?
Inata na kisikisiro wulinda ko nyina la banka long jumale ko ke ofarin na ani mune asabu yo kala.
No, I did not.
Ani mawoke.
And the junglers, which force did they belong to?
Nyin jongulal ibota tanko bunda fanna jumalto.
I've said that I did not investigate why the junglers did that, simply because the junglers weren't answerable to us.
Na foko malo jongla sujuma nyolle yakala. Katu mune yo sabu nyin jongla solu mantarante la karola de mantarantolu koto.
They were answerable to the president.
Kedanku president odronela.
There was no CDS
Would CDSTJ
who will ever say that he gives instructions to the to the junglers.
CDSTJ menselo ka foko ateka ya maro wala kumakango diwo jongla solale.
And Mr. Tamba, that is why I asked you the question. To which force they belonged.
Sedo wala asabu nyinin ka nyinin karola ko nyin jongulal itol bota tanko bunda fanna jumalto.
The junglers belong to a special unit.
Jongla solu be fansun kafule kono ye melondi.
And like I said, I've been following the proceedings of this TRRC.
Anen ko nga funu nyame meta nyin TRRC la
Where all of us heard them say they take directives from the president.
Adumbe ya mwele nyim foko. Itelika kumakangota president drone bulu.
So it is no secret as to where they get the instructions from.
Bari am woto amanke kuloti.
Mr. Tamba,
it will kela kamuta dame.
you are CDS.
Yes.
CDS sojarol bela kuntonko.
Yes, I was.
You are working in an investigation.
Yes.
The junglers are part of the army.
Jongula idabe sojar kundaldo.
Yes.
De jure, under the law, they should be under your command.
Certainly, they should.
They have violated the law, and you are aware of it.
I'm not aware of that. Me and the junglers, we were all under the command of the commander-in-chief. So somebody who is not under my directives...
Mr. Tamba, if you listen carefully to my questions, without any preconceived ideas, I think we can have a smooth testimony. Listen to my question. All right. We have just agreed that under the law, they should be under your command. We have agreed that, haven't we?
Ansul, I have made one observation. I think the word preconceived mind is not appropriate for this kind of forum. If I had a preconceived mind, I would not be sitting here. So I don't think that is an appropriate word to say preconceived. That means whatever I will come to say here, you will not take it because you see it as a preconceived mind. That is the reality, Council.
That is why I say we should listen to one another.
I listen carefully.
Okay.
I wait until when you learn, I respond. But if you talk about preconceived mind, then there's no need for me to sit here and speak my mind.
That is not, you misunderstand me.
Council, I need to be guided then.
Okay, but you should allow me to guide you. If you insist on going your own way, then the guidance would be difficult.
Maybe the chairman can guide us, because if I say something I know and you interpret it as preconceived, then maybe you have a preconceived mind, not me. I am talking of something I know. Then you have the preconceived mind, Council.
Mr. Tamba, you've been answering questions that I have not even asked.
Certainly, because I'm trying to help the commission.
But then, why don't you just answer the questions that I asked?
Yeah, because I'm not comfortable with the word preconceived. That is what I'm not happy with. That is not an appropriate word for you to use that against me. If I have a preconceived mind, I will not be sitting here.
You misunderstand.
Let us call a spade, Council.
You misunderstand what I say.
No, I fully understood
If it makes you comfortable, I withdraw the word.
I fully understood you.
What I am trying to say is, when I raise some questions, you already have an idea in your head where I am going to.
Because I'm trying to help you. I am trying to help you.
But that's why I say,
if I know where you're heading to and I help you, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, Council. That makes your job easy.
Okay. You know what would make my job easy?
Yes.
Just answer the questions I have asked.
But this one is difficult for me to answer. When you talk about preconceived meaning that you know already, you know what you want to know. So me, I'm not telling you what I know. I'm not telling you the reality. That is what preconceived is all about. I stand to be guided.
I don't
Council,
understand.
we have withdrawn that. Shall we continue with the questioning? You have withdrawn the preconceived thing that made him uncomfortable. Shall we continue? Thank you.
It's just that what he thinks and what is happening are completely different. But what I
wouldn't say, don't put it what I think. That is the reality. And anybody sitting in this hall will know that that is not an appropriate word, preconceived. If I have a preconceived idea, then no need for me to come and sit here and explain to the commission. So for me, that is not an appropriate word.
I will just leave that and I will move on. I have said to you, if the word preconceived makes you feel uncomfortable, I withdraw that.
Thank you.
I certainly did not use it in the context in which you believe I used it. I was referring to something completely different from what you think I am saying.
This is English language. The meaning of preconceived is very clear. So you cannot say, whether I'm giving a different interpretation. Not at all, Council.
Okay, let me just move on, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Tamba, tell us how the work of that panel was organized. You were telling us about firing. Okay, in fact, I should pursue that line. Firing complained that he was beaten by the junglers.
Council, I have said it here, that the junglers, they have a separate command.
But I am not asking about who commands the junglers.
And the beating
All I am saying, Mr. Chair, perhaps maybe you should intervene here.
When I say that, the beating was not done in our panel.
I am not saying that. I said Farin complained that he was beaten by the junglers. That is what you said earlier. So that is all I said. That is why I am saying, if you listen to the questions that I ask, there would be no problem. But if you don't listen to my questions...
Council, I did. You asked about pairing, so I was responding to that. You mentioned about pairing, said this. So I was responding to that.
But it is only true that it is what I asked for. Is it true that that's what Faring said, or is it not true? Faring told you that he was beaten by the junglers.
Yes, when I arrived.
Exactly. You see?
And I took what? What action did I take?
But we're not even coming to that yet.
Yes.
That's why I said, if you just listen to the questions that I ask, I don't think there would be a problem. And my work would be a whole lot easier if you listen to the questions I ask and you answer directly to the questions I ask.
Then
there would be no such altercation.
That is my wish, Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tamba. All right. And these junglers, they belong to the army, didn't they?
They belong to the armed forces, yes.
Exactly. You are saying that under the law, de jure, they should have been answerable to you.
Certainly.
We received evidence that they were answerable directly to the president.
Correct, Counsel.
At that stage, did you have control over the junglers?
Neither me nor the previous the CDS that came after me, nobody had control over the junglers.
To who had control over them?
This is just for me to confirm what they said it here before this commission, that they take instructions from the president. As far as I know, they take instructions from the president.
Thank you very much. Why were the junglers there? Who would have ordered them to be present during that investigation?
The president would have ordered them.
Thank you. So you see, if we just listen.
Certainly, I'm listening, I'm getting you clearly.
Exactly.
Yes, maybe the way you said it. And also the words you were using. You know, in fact, the agreement was based on the words you were using, Counsel.
I use preconceived,
yes,
just to show that you are anticipating some questions, thinking that that's where I am going.
I am okay. I am okay
there.
whenever the questions come, but the word preconceived,
so
let's just forget that.
Just listen and answer my questions directly.
Certainly, certainly. That is why I am here, Counsel.
So you would accept that in these panels you had the NIA, correct?
Correct, Counsel.
You had members of the police, correct?
Correct.
You had members of the army.
Correct.
So these people were doing the investigations.
Correct, Counsel.
Okay. Who would be asking the questions?
Haidara.
That's the NIA. Would you also be asking questions?
Just like this session here.
Would you also be asking questions?
Very rare cases. If I want to make an intervention, I would rather speak to the man doing the investigation. I'm the accent, Haidara.
But have you ever asked any questions?
I cannot remember that, Counsel. All of what I'm saying, it was a panel, and we have one leader, and we assign that person to be asking questions.
So the others were passive observers?
Certainly. We cannot have too many people asking questions in a panel. Then, you know, everything becomes what? Upside down. Just like this setup here, you are the one asking questions. You have your other counsels, but they are not asking. They are following. Sometimes they consult with you. So it's the same setup.
The question is, were the others just passive observers? They sit there, they don't ask
That was why I gave you that example of you and your team.
Okay. All right, we would come back to all that.
Okay.
So who would be taking statements?
There was no particular person taking statement. Like I said, it was a panel. There were personnel, particularly from the police and the NIA, who are vast in statement taking. So they were the ones writing the statements.
So it was police and NIA who would be taking statements?
Yeah, the soldiers, they don't know how to take statements because they've not learned that.
And why were the junglers there?
Counsel, you know, when I give you certain responses, you think that I'm trying to challenge you. I've said this clearly, that the deployment to give tax to the junglers is the prerogative of the president. He placed them there.
We know that.
Yes.
The question is not who sent them there. We have dealt with that. The question is, why were they there? What was their role?
When you tell me why were they there, that will be difficult for me. But we assign them to be collecting these people from mile 2 and sending them back. If we need any particular person, they will go and collect the person from mile 2. When we are ready, they will send the person back. We are using them for that. As far as the panel was concerned.
But we have received evidence that their role was to torture people who appear before the panel. So that confessions could be obtained from them. Is that true or false?
If that is the evidence you receive from those individuals, I've said it here, that as far as the panel was concerned, their roles was to escort them to mile to bring them. That one I know. But what happens out of the panel, after the panel, I wouldn't know. I don't say anything on that.
But is it the case that people have appeared before the panel and have been tortured before, during, or after their appearance or immediately after their appearance before the panel within the same premises?
Anytime we are done with them, when they make their statements, we make sure that we hand them over to the junglers, they return them back. What happens after that, out of the panel, I cannot be privy to that kind of information. I can say that, because I did not witness that. Because even if you as an individual, you don't have blood running in your veins, like here, this is a panel. Can somebody get up and start beating an individual in the presence of all these people here? And you expect all these people here to keep quiet and be watching?
But that is exactly the evidence that we have received.
But whether that is true, that is not true. This is what I'm saying.
That's why we're asking.
That is why I'm saying that is not true. We also have blood running in our veins.
Can you just allow the interpreter, Sema, to interpret?
Sorry.
No. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Answer the question.
Okay, like I said, in the panel, when they are seated in the panel, we have different people in the panel. Some of them might be even relatives to those people. It is not possible for us to see them being tortured before the panel. I have said this. It can happen out of the panel when because the junglers who escort them back to mile 2, and they are the one who brings them. So whatever happened out of the panel, we wouldn't be privy to that. And the junglers can even get them out of mile 2, even when the panel don't need them.
Could you say that again?
The junglers can get them out of mile 2 when the panel don't need them even. When we come to a particular situation, I'll be able to explain, then you'll see what I mean.
We would come to all that. Now let's just talk about the interview environment. Can you tell us the interview environment? You have kind of likened it to what is happening here.
Yes, it's just a similar setup like this. And the person with the interview will sit like in your position there. Yes. And questions have been asked.
Threats? Any threats?
I have never witnessed any threats been meted on them. I've said it here. That they had confessed from day one about their involvement. If you look at the videotape, actually, you can even give you an expert will interpret to you somebody being tortured, sitting and talking to the panel, and somebody not being tortured, sitting and facing the panel. Certainly their reactions will never be the same.
So in your view, all these witnesses who appeared here and say they were tortured, are they lying?
Counsel, me sitting here, I can even tell the commission here that I was tortured. When I was in mile 2, anytime I'm taken away to the NIA at night, when I come back, I pretend to be tortured.
We would come
But in a real sense, I was never tortured.
We would come
So
to
those
that.
are tactics that people can employ. So I want you to take note of that as well. But to the best of my knowledge, we don't condone tortures. But tortures that happen out of the panel,
we would come to that.
So does that happen out of the panel? We have no control over that.
But wasn't it the case, really, Mr. Tamba,
Mr. Tamba,
that this whole interview panel was some organized torturing sessions just to drum out confessions out of witness?
Ya komande nyisia sio bengo nyum komande nyala men ronka mol bute isaje isi sonka kumosoto e bulu.
Council, those same people that you are talking about who claim that they were tortured.
Just answer my question directly. Just answer the question directly.
Cannot be directly. I am coming, Council.
Go ahead.
Those same people were sitting on the chair I'm sitting here. And they confessed to this commission here that yes, they were involved in a coup.
But Mr. Tamba,
without anybody touching them.
Okay.
So if I tell you that they confessed before us at a time when nobody touched them, but I've said here, after when we are done with them, when they confess, we are done with them, and they are to be returned to mile 2. Whatever happens out of the panel, we have no control over that. We have said that. We have no say over that. But as far as the panel is concerned, even if blood was not flowing in our veins, how could we accept like this hall is full like this set up here? How we could accept them to be tortured before a whole panel seated here? For instance, if that is to happen here, 1 or 2 people from the commissioners will not agree to that. So the same thing was happening in our panel as well. It's just that you don't want to accept what the scenario I'm giving you. Because already those people have told you that they were tortured at the panel, so you take that as conclusive. So this is why whatever I say here, you will not accept it.
Mr. Tamba, you should realize that I am not the one to be making decisions. So what is to be accepted or not is a matter for the commissioners, and they have not yet reached that stage. All I'm doing is asking questions. I'm not taking a position one way or another. But like I said the last time, if you try to anticipate where I am going, many times you will get it right, but sometimes you would not. So I just ask that you listen to the question. And once you listen to the question and you answer to my questions directly, maybe sometimes that is not in fact the case. We have seen a few examples. Just allow me to ask the question and just answer the question.
Council, I did not preempt your questions. These were issues you already raised here before this commission. So that is why I'm reacting to the ones you raised. I'm not preempting what you're coming to say.
If you just listen to my questions and you answer to the questions, I think it will be a whole lot easier. The junglers, were they ever present in the room where the panel sat?
Council, I have said it here that they escort these people from the mile 2. And once they have them seated, sometimes some of them will be in the conference hall there. Yes.
So I take it that your answer is yes.
In some cases, yes, they are present.
And these junglers, they are armed.
Not in the conference hall. Nobody is allowed to be armed in the conference hall. Those who were armed are usually stationed outside the conference hall, not inside the hall.
Conference room okono ebukaso morning jorango etaraji. Menu be jorango be menu bulolo katara bantale.
Are you suggesting that they are disarmed when they come in to the conference hall with their arms?
We be info kan ko ni na da fo conference hall ro jani be fudunda kono ro je kera kidol te bulle.
Council, they will usually leave them in the car.
Council jama ke tumotole kono.
Because there was enough security in the premises of the NIA.
That
will not warrant an escape.
In fact, these interrogations, a lot of them were done very late at night, isn't it?
Council, there was no specific time for interrogation.
Council,
the reason why we continued up till night, we wanted to speed up with the investigation so that a decision can be taken on them. So if we were to do it only during the day, instead of doing it in 3 weeks, doing it only during the day will take you for maybe 6 weeks. So we did that purposely to save time, but not for any other reason.
Would you say that most of them were done at night?
I will not agree to that. We do start the investigation during the day and we'll continue into the night. So when you say most of them were done in the night, I don't understand that. I know that we start during the day into the night.
Mr. Tamba, when I put across these propositions, it's not me saying that this is what is happening. What I think or what my opinion is, I would never say it. Because that's not important. I have to frame the questions and I have to frame them in a way to give you an opportunity to answer. So if you think that the question reflects my opinion, you are mistaken. My opinion is only for me. Please understand it like that.
Council, I fully understood it like that. But if you are addressing issues with me, I cannot address the chairman. I cannot address Mr. Jallo because they are not the one asking me. This is why I refer to you. You are the one asking me. If you don't want me to refer to you when you are the one asking me, then whom do I refer to? I can be guided on that.
By all means, refer to me.
That doesn't mean you are the one who is the initiator of that. You are the one asking me.
Don't take the question and make it my opinion.
I think I have passed that level, Council.
Thank you very much. So let's move on. The interview environment. How would you describe it?
I would say it yet because I already described it. That is just like a setup like that. And then the tables are round like this. And then the person being interviewed will sit at your position there, facing the panelists.
Is it as cordial as this?
Certainly. Certainly.
The Commission has received an entirely different description of the panels. From the working hours, the interview environment, how the evidence is received,
kuma kawol nyin kata ika soto nyaadi le mol bulu
in particular the issue of fabrication of evidence.
surtout membe abe kono wala kisede yarol men yalon ko ika soto yalon ko ning ka soto ning
force
wala kono.
In your view, none of these things took place.
Itela mira loro ñu be kono kilinte je menketa.
Council, I stand to be guided.
Council mosi yamarno le ka silo itan.
The setting up of the panel
Panelo ñin lo nya
is not unique to a particular setup.
manke ko daña kilim façon drone nem.
It depends on what is wanted.
Al tutanyina bala sulobe menna.
This is the setup that the TRRC want,
Ñinom kolu kenyati TRRC lafta menna.
and it is taking this shape.
Wala na ay kolu landit sindi teng.
What is making our conversation difficult is
Memben na kacha kole andi kan wole mu
you bringing to me that this is what X, Y, and Z they have said.
ngolem kanyin natin kan ka fo karinin kari ñina fo.
Yes, you have all rights to ask me,
Obe mu ila ñantol ti pour
but it
kanyin.
is also my duty to let you know that this is the reality.
Bari ndefana na lo ko lo ñindi ka fo yen ko ñina mu kuti men keta.
And I was not alone in the panel.
Alun te dam mamantara o panelo ko non.
Probably you'll have the opportunity to invite other members of the panel.
Man dolu ibe silo soto la dolu menu tarta o panelo ko no yolu fanal
I
kuma.
want to remind you, those people of 2006, when they appeared before the panel,
Mbe hakilo blan la ko molu 2006 brief ndita panelo ñaati limola.
some of them denied
Dole
their involvement in the coup.
Ye so roke ka fo ko etel dabe o ku ko nole.
But later they were seated on this chair and they confessed.
Bari akola inata sinyi sira o kai fangulu sonta.
So if you want to take whatever they tell you here,
So ni lafta ko beta la italian membe fo ye jang.
then you could make a mistake.
Isi fili.
Be rest assured, Mr. Tamba, that we would do everything possible to ensure that we don't make a mistake.
Zedo imbe la mani andi na nyinna ko be kota ko be fere la misaje mamfilo soto.
And that is why we are asking the questions, difficult as they may be.
Wala ya sabu kan nyinin karol nyinin ka abenta la nyaawo nyanyara ni nyama be kolela nyaawo nyanyara ni nyama ba kata kan ne kaos.
You see, those who sat in that chair
Yeah,
and made a confession
Men sita nyin siran ka be damendo andu isonta ko la melle kan.
are in fact people to be applauded and not derided.
Wol fangulu mu molleti mo nyanta mennu jayla bari mo manyan na.
So I disagree with you when you say there are people to be applauded.
Just hear me out.
Lammo imbe mem fala.
Okay, Council.
Here, people come here to take an oath to speak the truth.
Molu kana jang ike kali ko ibe to nyale fala.
And when they come and confess to their crimes,
Andu ni nata ifangulu nata song ike barolula.
in a situation where they could have lied,
Andu akata kuti dame yalonko isifania fono le nu.
so we should appreciate the fact that at least on this particular occasion before the commission, they have chosen to be honest.
Woto nyanta sonna nyinna le kanyin londi ko woto ye men keteng abeteata le wairi inata isonta ye to nyafo commission nyati lingola.
So that is not to justify
And
crimes they have committed.
wote nyin ko tilindino la ka keto nyati telie kuru ye kolu menu kenu.
But at least for the purposes of the commission, where they have confessed honestly what they have done,
Bari commission nyati lingona dalelo lukama isonta damen ko ntele nyin barakari ke.
they have done what is expected of them by the commission and the Gambian people.
Woto ibarata kule la molu jikita men na ko inyanta wole kela ko commission ni Gambian ko lu jikita la nyami.
On that particular occasion,
Wo silo
because we're looking for the truth.
katumbe tonya nyiningol.
So because they have spoken the truth here doesn't mean they have to be castigated.
Afoko inata jang ye tonya fo. A woto amanyang kela nyintiko nyante doya lale.
But that is all aside.
Bari obe le karala.
Let's focus now on the conditions that obtained at the commission.
Woto silanga loko lukang menya lonko wolebe lori nun wala wolebe keri nun
At the panel.
panelo nyati lingula.
Is it your view that the conditions that obtained in the panel were such that all those who were investigated gave their evidence freely without any pressure or interference.
Amunta nyina mu koti bang mbelu be law kuma kangulu fo panelo nyati lingu la je ilawo kumolu be ibele ya fo nyama me ya lonko adiyate fangoleye ime de wundi ime detendi ime silandi.
Council, I have a problem here and I want to be guided by you.
Kolea bembulu jang council lafta dung ite yamari.
What do you say of those same people who sat here
and
they confess of their involvement in the coup attempt? Whilst during the court martial, where I was not there, where they had their lawyers with them representing them, and yet they deny their involvement in the coup. Only to sit on this chair and confess. So what do you say of those people, Council? I need to be guided. Because whatever I'm saying here, you are not taking it as something that really happened. I need to be guided, Council. How do you call those kind of people?
I would answer your question. I just do not see the relevance. If somebody sits here and confesses to something that he did in the past, something that he had denied before, this commission should be happy that this person has chosen, at least on this particular occasion, to be honest. In fact, the person is implicitly admitting that he or she is a liar, having lied before. But it does not change the fact that for this work of this commission, the person has at least decided to respect the fact that he or she has taken an oath to speak the truth. Yo adungalawo kalio kang awakilta asonta ay tonyafo woto ko falinola, because for us all we are interested in is the truth. So if a person comes here and speaks the truth, we should be happy that at least before the commission this person has spoken the truth. Woto nyanta sonnale tonya tonya nyimari na ta commission nyatilingula afelenti biralo ta commission nyatilingula ay tonyale fo nyanta se wala wala le. This does not change the fact that the person may have lied somewhere else before. Nyinte kolu falino la ka foko nyimari nene fania fole nunto dula doto mending commission tekelenti jang. But our role is not to judge people by what they have said previously elsewhere. Barinte lalo dula manke kamolu jube ke kitindi nyinkanko ye kumadole fonun dinkira doto nung. Our role is to judge them by what they say before the commission. Te lalo dula momenti mbe jube la nyinela ye kumakangolu menu fo commission nyatilingo la jang nte lalo dula bijanne. But if the person also comes here and lies, bar ni mem fana nata janga e fani yafo, and it is shown that the person has lied, the commission would take it that the person has lied. And the commission would decide what to do with that person's statement. Is it clear now?
Council, don't you think these are the witnesses called tainted witnesses? Simply because what they said before the court martial, with their lawyers being present, comes to be different from what they said here whilst they were seated here. So is that not a tainted witness? They were represented legally during the court martials. And they have all the environment for them to speak the truth.
Can I remind you all that we are here to create an impartial record of violations and abuses of human rights from July 1994 to January 2017.
Chairman ko.
We are to give yes, please go ahead.
Chairman ko dalilo mumenti jang. Wolem be fero mento wolem katonya nyinin. Tonya me yalon ko wolem nyinti tonya fasari manke daming tonya tilindingo ku sotoringo. Me yalon ko wolle keta ka hadama ya nyanto lutinya kabo 1994 kana 2017 sankang pour ka tonya londi ntelbe lorin wole kanjang.
We are to provide victims an opportunity
Fanga silo di molula mantoro boita menu kang
to relate their own accounts of the violations and abuses.
Puri fangoli ya sata nyanta tinyalu ni mantoro lu menu boite kang I fangoli yo sata.
We are here to ask questions and witnesses answer those questions for the record.
Mbijang purka nyinin karo ke wo molu nina tay ninge nyinin kay si jabirolu di puru nyin kamala mbe men safela ko ku sotoringol le munyiliti.
Not here to conduct what essentially today it sounds like a seminar on telling the people how things are done here, what is what's been said by somebody else. We are not here interpreting any of those things. We're here to have question and answer to get an accurate record of what really happened, to allow the Commission at some point to come and make a decision on the findings and the recommendations.
Amanke nyinti purun nata jannembe siring. Dolu be kumolu menu fola anite lefta sata la nyamin ka kolu ru jamfandike dundije ka kumolu noma sata hani ntelu lasilo mumenti jang wole mbe jannembe nyinin karolu la adun lafita jabirol lela jabirolu men ya lonko imariol si kuma sotoringulu fonye men ya lonko wolle keta pour nyin kamala mbe men safela asike kuti men ya lonko ntelu be otonya nyinin men na lafta otonya les sabatindi la nga safe ko anyanta safela nyamin.
We cannot be they're sort of taken away from what the focus of our work and the mandate really is.
It's
a very important point that we hope that today's witness, a key senior person in the administration of the previous government,
goto bi nyimuku kuma baleti kafoko mome ye palasi ba maranu wo maralo wucheo nyin kono wo tembo bi wole musedo ti membe sirin commission nyati lingola.
Council has a lot of material that we are going to be covering with your presence. The entire day is being devoted to getting a very, very senior person like you to address the Commission and the entire country.
Amunta kansul be damen ku jamal le belari nga nyaatilingol la bari nyin kamala anyanta kumolu menu no masatala wolam nyinti ko tilo mu itebe siring ibe nyinin ka kan ibe kumolu sata kan bari abe nyanta tala nyamin wolam nyinti ko nteli nga silo le sotombe men tamandila adum nyanta tamala no silo le kango men din tolula mbe kolu samba kan wole nyakilingu nyama purun sa ke nyama me ya lonko mbe si tilingu nin to nya soton no menketa.
To spend a lot of time on explanations of how we proceed, what we do here, and that's been the exchange that's been going on back and forth, sort of deflects us from the focus that we really have to exercise, from the information that we need from a very senior person like you to proceed.
Amunta kachalu kono di amolu kono ninyinin karolu keta ikalla fi silolu menu tala aninka kumolu menu fo wolu dolu mu kumol leti menu manyan natarlante lakolu kono amunta kam filindile kam bondin na silo kam wati nin wati amunta nyinin karolu kata nyamin ntelu be ko men noma wala menketa ko andungo fanan itala palaso be tembo mento nyaton ka palaso le bebulu alifale muitu no man sakunda kono woto wo nyinin karolu bina kan nyamin ike nyinin ka kolu menula telu kaw ay nyinin ka kuma kan lu menula wo kalimolu itanyanta bulala wolle no mabari memmen sembondi wo silo kan wo manyan nakela.
We must therefore continue our work the way we're doing it, counsel asks some questions, witness answers some questions. Perhaps the shorter the questions, the shorter the answer, the better for everybody.
Amunta woto, counsel be nyinin karo la nyamin, ngata ni wonya. Nin counsel ye nyinin karo ke ya jabi kuma tilindi wala men sutiyata. Nin counsel fana ye nyinin karo ke nyama men keta kuma stunguti ite fana ya jabi. Sata kumolu nyili kana jamfa, akono kana fanu, kuma sata jangolu kana taraje me yalon ka sembondi siloka.
The commission is not here to embarrass any witness or to deny any witness a fair hearing.
Komisono man tarajande purka mo malundi de. Komisono man na jam fanang purka kutamandi mo kanjam bennin tilingo tekelinti.
Some of the issues that were coming up could have come up before the 7th of January 2019 when we started these public hearings.
Kodolu starta ulisina no le juna ka fa January 2019 wo kodolu sikeno le ni ni nkaro wala ni siobe damutala.
With no comment, can we continue before? Counsel, can you please ask questions? Witness, if you don't mind, please help us create this impartial record that the National Assembly mandated us to do.
Tun council be tentena la nyinin karo la bari selo mbedani la banko la député bungo ye kangoni sembole din tolla andu ye silo le landi nyembe tamala silo menna oto mbedani la yemma koy men si o silo sene yandi mbe nyinin karo menna pour nga tonya sotonno asilo kan laftala nyami.
We are not going to go ahead and get involved in things that is going to tell other witnesses who are coming here, go in there, ask a lot of questions about this and that. You get involved in some exchange, and at the end of the day, they're not going to sit until midnight. Yes, if we are going to sit until midnight, we will go ahead and do it until we get what we want to get.
Wole nyinti ko mbe nyeme nyinin ka kan lafita wole fanan sotonna. Katu ning mbe sirin jang nyinin karolu keta imari la sataro kono kadum kudolu kono hani fo dolu men fanal binala wol tulo bewla isafa hani tataje ni nyinin kayta sinyin silota sinyin foto yenyin foteng hani ntelu nata men na jang mbe bulala wo silole noma adum ba jelale ko nga noma sata hani fon so lata tonya men na funga wosoto.
Council, can you please continue?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I am looking at my watch. It's past 5 o'clock. Do you generally, we finish 5 o'clock? Perhaps maybe I'll just take 5 minutes and leave it at a particular spot, and then we adjourn till tomorrow. Thank you very much. Mr. Tamba, you would accept that the junglers were also sometimes in the interview room, in the room where the panel sat.
Mr. Tamba, ebe sonale tumodo luko jongla solu katara le wonyinin kari dulato panelo katara sirin nun damin wo bungo konoje.
I have said this earlier on, that yes.
Nganyim funun komanto ko ha.
We have received information
Na kibaro soto janko.
that oftentimes up to about 20 people can be in the room.
Tumodo lu ni wo panelo la mol nata. Tumodo lu mo katara jele hanfo men kata fo mo muwang men yalon ko wolle katara bungo konoje.
I think I've said that usually it can be 10 above. So the exact number I wouldn't confirm.
Nga fanam fonko jama tumodo la katala hanfo mo tang wala men si siawoti bari ananga mo yirko kungo fango mteo fonola.
What you said before was that the first and second day they were up to 10.
Iya mem fonum folo to wolem lum folo ni mfula njango albijele membital hanfo mo tanyong.
My question is, in subsequent days, would you have up to 20 people who are present in the room?
Na nyinin karo na takenyinte wolum folo ni mfula njango kola. Tumodo lumolu menu katara fo panelo toje ikatale hanfo men kata hanfo mo wa nyombang.
All I know is from 10, it could be a little above. But I cannot give the exact figure. That is what I said here many times. I don't want to tell lies. I don't want to tell lies that this was the number when that wasn't. 10 above, I think that should be able to answer everything.
It's a very simple question. In your view,
itala jeroto
do you think
ila mira roto
that there were instances when you have up to 20 people?
wato dolu kasoto wala lungu dolu kasoto fo molu men katale ya katale fo mo mu wambang
It's a yes or a no.
halo mu wala hani
I think this is what is deviating all of us, Chairman. If I answer the question, I say 10 above, what is the relevance of me to say yes, 20 or 10 above could be up to 100.
Mr. Tamba, leave that issue
10
to
above
us.
could be up to 100.
Okay.
So if you want to take it at 20, you can peg it at 20. It's still 10 above.
Mr. Tamba, this is the very wrong attitude that should come out. All right?
I
You are
disagree.
you
It is
are
not a
asked
wrong attitude.
You
It is
are,
it's a
you are
procedure.
asked a simple question. You are able to say it's more than 0 and it's up to 10. You should be able to say whether it is more than 10 and up to 20. If you don't know, say you don't know. But answer the question.
Council,
You have to answer the question.
My answer is 10 and above.
All right. Would you say they are up to 20?
10 and above.
All right, thank you very much. The commission would...
Certainly, the commission is hearing us. No need to refer to them.
The commission would record the fact that you refuse to answer the question.
I cannot give the exact number, Council. You want me to lie to say 20? Why are you particular about the number 20? 10 above could be 20, could be above 20. I don't think we should waste our time. Chairman, these are the things I say. If he asks me, I have answered 10 above. 10 above could be 20, could be 30. So if I cannot give the exact number, this is not a court proceeding. This is an investigation, and I am saying what I know. But if the council is insisting for me to say it's 20, it means this is a court proceedings, which is not. 10 above, I think that should answer the question.
Thank you very much, Council. If you don't have any further questions, we will come back.
We adjourn till tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Tomorrow morning, sharp 10 o'clock. And we'll have to do a bit of preparatory work, and so not to repeat today's proceedings. Thank you all very much. We come back tomorrow, sharp 10 o'clock. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chairman.